Hey all, JTC here, and today I'm going to be reacting to the patch notes for tomorrow's patch on December 15th. Now, originally this patch was supposed to come out today on the 14th, but they delayed it, but instead decided to release the patch notes for it a day early so we could see what's actually going to be in the patch. So, and I actually have not had a chance to look at this yet, so I'm going to be reacting to this live for the first time. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump straight into it. Rejects, in today's community update, we'll discuss our first significant content drop for Darktide. Due to a technical issue we found when testing one of our weapons, we're targeting this update to arrive tomorrow, December 15th. We've been reading your comments on Steam, the Fat Shark forums, and Reddit, and acknowledge your request for more communication, transparency, and where we're at. Since launch, we have released a decent amount of updates and improved stability for many players, but we still recognize the need for more clarity in certain areas. Today's community update will focus on what this drop and with it patch 10.0.20 will contain, as well as give insight into some of the key areas we're addressing. For future community updates, we aim to cover specific topics of concern that you have all brought to us to communicate how we intend to move forward with those areas of feedback. This is always a really good thing. I have been a very strong advocate for constant communication between developers and the community, not just for Darktide and Vermintide, but for just video games in general. In my opinion, the number one killer of games isn't necessarily a lack of content or, like bad balancing or bad content being added. It's just pure silence from the devs and a refusal to communicate with the player base. So the fact that they're saying that they're going to communicate is good, but that's really only the first step. Actions speak louder than words, and I am holding out hope that they're actually going to follow through with their words and actually continue these kind of community updates and continue to communicate with us. Stability. First and foremost, we prioritize stability so you can all play the game uninterrupted. We have identified several critical issues and are working on the fix to get them there. We want to give you a look at what the priorities look like from our end. This is a partial list of every stability issue we are investigating, focusing on the most critical and frequent issues we have found. Okay, so this is basically just a bunch of crashes and performance issues that they are looking into, and the ones that they are currently fixing. Okay, sure, that's good and all, but they need to fix these. Commodore's Vestures, okay. In patch 1.0.14, we removed the timer from the shop where players could purchase premium cosmetics via Aquila packs. Our plan for the shop is to give players more time between rotation periods until we reach 3 screens worth of cosmetic bundles. The timer will remain inactive until the first page is due to be rotated out with the 24 hours remaining. It's important to note that the store is on rotation to give players some variety while at the same time not creating clutter. We feel that unlimited store pages are likely to create confusion and a bad user experience. Rest assured, the cosmetics are not gone forever and will likely reappear. What? Okay, first off, there's no such thing as unlimited store pages because there's only a limited amount of cosmetics that you guys actually have created right now. The entire idea of our plan for the shop is to give players more time between rotation periods until we reach 3 screens worth of cosmetic bundles. I don't really feel like that's completely true because, let's be real, there was one of 2 reasons why they removed the timed, basically FOMO aspect of the shop. A, they listened to community feedback and they got rid of the FOMO aspect, or B, they just simply didn't have enough cosmetics to actually keep up that time period. So I don't actually think this is really true. I think they just don't have enough cosmetics to actually release at the original planned, basically, refresh rate. So they're having to change it so they have more time to create cosmetics. Also, we feel that unlimited store pages are likely to create confusion and a bad user experience. It's literally impossible to have an unlimited amount of store pages because there's no such thing as unlimited cosmetics. There's always a set amount of specific cosmetics that you're going to be selling at any given time point. Even a massive company like Blizzard for Overwatch 2, there's not an unlimited amount of store pages. There's still a limited amount of store pages. I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but it doesn't really feel like... I don't know. It doesn't really feel like they're defending what they're attempting to defend. And it's like, I've said it before. I don't have a problem with paid cosmetics in a game, even in a game that I have to pay for. But honestly, this entire paragraph doesn't make sense to me. And I honestly feel like they should have just removed this entire paragraph and not said anything, and that just would have been better, because this entire paragraph makes no sense to me. I don't get it. Anyway, well, that's a good start, I guess. Content drop, the Signal. This drop introduces a new map, 2 new weapons, one for Zealot and one for Ogryn, the new Refine option in the crafting menu, the inclusion of private games, and the addition of 3 new conditions. In Commsplex, it's up to you and your strike team to gain access to the Commsplex, get to the roof, and transmit a message to the allies in the Imperium. Support the launch of Commsplex. We will enable several conditions during this mission over the next few days. 2 new weapons, a Crusher, a 2-handed Power Maul for Zealots, and a Power Maul, a 1-handed Power Maul for Ogryns. Private play is now available when starting a mission from the board from the strike teams from 2 to 4 players. Still no solo play, though. That's not great. Refine is now available in the Shrine of the Omnissiah. You can now choose to refine a single perk, which will lock the other perks. Perks in the item card view will show their tier through the number of star or diamonds next to the perk, ranging from 1 to 4. Each refine action taken on the perk will see a cost reduction for resources. 2 new conditions: Hunting Grounds rejects will have to fend off more Poxhounds, and more ammo, less healing, more enemies, which is Assault. Okay, so new map is always good. I'll get to those in a second. The 2 new weapons, okay, cool. And 2 new weapons are always good. 1 for Zealot is fine. 1 for Ogryn is fine. I was really hoping to see more weapons for the Ogryn, because, just to be honest, the class who is actually struggling with weapon variety right now is the Ogryn. Veteran, Psyker, and Zealot, true, they don't have that many, like, specifically locked weapons that are specific to those kinds of characters, but the difference between them and Ogryn is the 3 of them can actually share, like, the general pool of weapons, like the Devil's Claw sword and the tactical axes, and, you know, the braced auto guns and the las guns, so they actually have a lot of different weapons to play with. But the problem with Ogryn is that he only has his own weapons to play with, and it's very, very, very tiny compared to the other cast of characters that we have. So I was really hoping to see both of these be for Ogryns instead of only 1, but I mean, 1 is better than none, so I guess I'll take it. Private play is good. This should have been in launch, so it's good that it's here now. Like I said before, it's still not solo play, so that needs to come pretty soon. Refine is now available in the Shrine of the Omnissiah. You can now choose to refine perks. I believe that perks... So this is the thing. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But I believe perks refers to basically the little things on the weapons, the kind of generic modifiers, like plus 5% damage to infested enemies or plus 20% damage to unyielding enemies, versus the blessings, which are the actual, like, quote-unquote perks of... I'm using perks as kind of a loose term. Perks of the weapons, you know, like the Brutal Cleave, which whenever you hit, like, weak spot, you ignore cleave mass for X amount of seconds. It's nice that we have the ability to re-roll the perks, but not being able to re-roll... Blessings, I think they're called blessings. Not being able to re-roll the blessings is kind of a huge problem. I honestly think that we needed the ability to re-roll blessings more than perks, because blessings is what really makes a weapon. Perks, sure, are nice to be able to re-roll because they kind of help with the, kind of the breakpoints of the game and being able to kill things faster, but what made each, like, different weapon unique and what actually allowed for builds is the blessings, so the fact that we still can't re-roll blessings or change blessings is not great. Also, I saw something that I wanted to go back. Where was it? Okay, you can now choose to refine a single perk which will lock other perks. So are you telling me, if I'm reading this correctly, what I'm reading this as is you can have, I think, 2 perks on a weapon. So what you're telling me is if I decide to refine 1 perk, the second perk gets locked and I cannot change it. If that's actually true, that is a terrible, terrible idea, because that's just going to increase the grind even more. I have an entire rant for the end game of this game right now. Basically, just real quickly, the end game of Darktide right now is this. You sit at the shop, you wait for an hour, you look at the different weapons that you have, because you need to get like a really, really good roll in order to actually work with it, because you can't actually craft a good weapon. You have to find basically a RNG good weapon from the shop that you have absolutely no control over. So you just have to sit there and camp at the shop and not actually play the game and just hope to the Omnissiah or Ronaldo 2.0 that you actually get a good weapon. And when you inevitably don't, because let's be real, you're not going to for a very long time unless you're insanely lucky, you just get to sit at the shop and not actually play the game. And the other problem, on the other spectrum of weekly events, you do the weekly events, and if you have, the really bad one of the secondary objectives, you have to sit there and you have to look for the very specific map, I don't know, the oubliette map, and you can't find it, so guess what? You can't do that weekly, so you Alt F4 and you wait again until you get it. So it's just, I don't know, man. And the fact that if rolling one perk, if this is actually how I'm reading it, it's just going to make the grind even worse, because it's not going to make the grind worse, but it's not really going to improve the grind any. So I don't like that. I don't like that. That's not good. Also, the fact that they've added additional Poxhound spawns for hunting grounds is not good, because Poxhounds are still bugged. And then Assault actually seems pretty cool. Okay, so here are the patch notes. The chat window is now accessible on all loading screens during the outro cinematic after a mission. Cool, that's great. Option to merge strike teams during the end of round screen has been temporarily removed while we improve this functionality. Okay, so they didn't actually fix it, they just removed it. Awesome. Added 2,400 Aquilus packs, so cosmetic bundles can be purchased at face value. That's good, I like that. Performance things, always good. They need to be working on performance. This right now is the most important thing that they need to be working on. Performance and stability is by far the most important in my opinion, so the fact that they're working on that's good. Contracts and penances isolated and resolved a rare issue that could cause contract progression during a mission to be lost when the mission completes at the end of the round. That's really good. Okay, also, I don't really feel like this was a rare issue. This appeared to be very common for me and other people, but regardless, I'm happy it's fixed. An issue was detected in the penance pick and mix where it could in some circumstances not be awarded as expected. Cool. Localization. Ooh, weapons. Okay. There are okay, actually, let me just see what the weapons have. Assault chain axes and heavy eviscerators should now apply the appropriate movement slowdown on light and heavy attacks. I don't think I like that. I don't think I like that change, actually. The reason that, specifically for the heavy eviscerator, the heavy eviscerator felt really, really good because the heavy and light attacks didn't really have that much movement slowdown. So depending on how much slowdown there is, they might feel worse now. I'd have to test it though, so we'll see how that changes. Ogre and ranged weapons with melee special attacks should now change crosshair when using special attacks. Cool. Fixed an issue where players would stay in ADS when using a bayonet. Okay, cool. Fixed an issue where players would stay... Okay, another bug fixed. Fixed an issue where Psyker could not use the heavy las pistol weapon special when switching weapons. Cool. It should now be possible to cancel a reload using the weapon special on the quick draw stub revolver. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Autoguns should now more reliably interrupt other actions when performing a weapon's special attack. Okay, cool. Fixed a bug where the weapons stagger in the control collateral stat didn't work as intended. Fixed an issue. Okay, this is basically just a lot of, bug fixes. Fixed a bug. Four-sword weapon special now creates a larger blast on damaging and killing heretics. Oh, okay. So, is it a larger blast specifically for is it a single target blast or is it an AoE blast? Because if it's an AoE blast, that solves the huge problem that the four-sword special had, in the sense that when you would do the attack, it would leave you open to other enemies' attacks. So it was basically impossible to use in a horde. I hope it's an AoE, because if it is, that would fix that, and I hope they add the exact same thing to the Thunderhammer. Please add it to the Thunderhammer. It needs it desperately. Fixed a bug, fixed a bug, fixed a bug, tweaked the Spearhead Bolt Gun, added equip variations and reworked original equip to make animation less repetitive and frustrating, fixed issues with snapping after unaiming when shooting, fixed exploit where weapon swapping at the right time would result in a much faster reload. I'm actually fine with this being removed because I saw this clip on Twitter, and this was very cumbersome and irritating to actually do. I'm actually happy that's gone. Tweaked the Power Sword. Okay. Ooh, yes. Nice. Nerfs. Nerfs for the power sword. Love it. The power sword is the only weapon that needed nerfs. So I'm happy they nerfed it. How did they nerf it? Tuned down cleave on powered attacks from infinite to simply very big cleave. So around 10 enemies. Love it. Added damage fall off for targets beyond the third on heavy activated sweep. Scales from 130 to 60. Targets went down to... Okay. Originally, I said that the power sword either needed less damage or less cleave on its special, not both. But now that I actually look at this, I think this is fine, and I think this is actually a perfectly fine nerf. The power sword did absolutely everything, better than every weapon in the game. The power sword is basically Moonbow, or on-release Moonbow from Vermintide, and it desperately needed a nerf. So I'm happy with these nerfs. I'm not complaining. Good job. Tweaked the Lucius pattern lasguns, turned charging to unblock view of shot, cool. Pushed ADS FOV to 65 to clean up sight a bit, okay, cool. I'm assuming that means they increased FOV, which I'm actually fine with. Increased time until forced shot charge across all marks. Oh, wait, is this the Hellbore? I don't actually know what the Lucius pattern lasgun is. I'm assuming this is the Hellbore lasgun, in which case this is a really, really good change, because being able to only hold it for 1 second, it was really bad. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if they were to increase this from 2.5 to infinite. You can hold it as long as you want to, because I don't really see a reason why it needs to be capped. Because the Hellbore lasguns, from what I can tell, aren't very good to begin with, so I don't see the reason for it. Decreased ammo consumption, awesome. Okay, I liked that. Just buffs across the board for ammo consumption. Reduced charge time ranges until fully charged. Awesome. So this is basically going to increase the DPS of the Hellbore lasgun, because you're going to be able to shoot more because you have more ammo, because it's consuming less ammo, and you're going to be able to charge faster and therefore shoot faster. Good. Reduced chain time for the bayonet slash. Okay. Increased minimum charge scale. Increased minimum charge scale for... I don't know what this means. Reduced suppression sway, reduced baseline sway. Beautiful. The Hellbore lasguns, for some reason, had an insane amount of, just natural sway to it, and, which made it, really, really difficult to snipe specials. And the Hellbore really felt like it was supposed to be the sniper of the game, because we don't actually have a legitimate sniper weapon. So the fact that they reduced the baseline sway is good. Ooh, tweak the plasma gun. Okay. Increased clip size range. Okay. That's actually pretty good. Magazine increase. Improved vent durations. Both active venting is now 3 seconds, and passive venting is 15 from 20. Okay. Adjusted vent speed curves over threshold and lowered the high threshold to 60% down from 70%. Time scales of venting are now low. Okay, so reduced the time scales. Retuned vent damage to a player. It should be in the same ballpark, but scale more aggressively, so lower overcharge gives less damage. Allow heavy charge shots to continue after shooting through geometry. Entry and exit both create explosions. Okay, so these are all a bunch of good changes, but really the only two that should be mentioned is the last two, I think. Realistically, I don't think that any weapon in this game should actually hurt you when you vent it. The plasma gun in general is already balanced by the fact it has ammo, so the fact that it has a health cost on vent is just redundant and makes the weapon just feel clunky and weird, so I don't really like it. Plus, I was having this discussion on stream a couple of days ago, but a gun or a weapon that actually costs health in Darktide is much, much, much worse than in Vermintide, because in Vermintide you had temp HP, and what you could actually do is offset the health cost of venting through staves and the Drakefire guns by building up by building up your temp HP and then basically just expending your temp HP, which is actually just a resource. In Darktide, there is no temp HP. So there's only toughness, but the problem is when you vent with the plasma gun, you don't consume toughness, you consume health. And health is a much more valuable resource in Darktide that you actually have to control because there is no way to easily get health back. in Vermintide, there is this entire idea of basically dancing around with your health and like exchanging hits in order to trade health for ult charge. And health was basically just this giant expendable renewable resource because of temp HP. But because they've done away with temp HP and they've done toughness, that doesn't exist anymore, and temp HP or health is a much more valuable resource that you actually have to hold on to. It's why venting doesn't work in Darktide, in my opinion, and it's why the Zealot passive does not work in Darktide, because you should not be playing at low health. Especially because there is bleed through on hit through toughness. That just makes it so much more punishing. So, realistically, I don't think there should be vent damage at all for the plasma gun, and on top of that, this is a really good change. It felt weird that the plasma gun just got hard stopped sometimes, so I kind of liked that they added this. Quick draw stub revolver, increased ammo reserve, extra ammo, increased the far range, the high end of base damage range, so extra damage, increased hit scan range to fix issues no hits will be detected at very long ranges. Okay, they need to really... There's been a lot of ghost hits just in general. I don't know if it's like a bug of the weapons or if it's just, you know, kind of like a server issue. But either way, they need to, like, change this. And they really need to fix this for all weapons. But otherwise, just net buff to the revolver. I'm fine with it. Revolver, frankly, needs it. The Agrippa Headhunter autoguns, without even looking, please give them more ammo. Reduced recoil. Okay. Increased damage. Okay. See, the problem with the Headhunter autoguns wasn't the damage, it was the ammo. You basically have no ammo with these weapons. I honestly think the damage was fine. I mean, realistically, increasing the damage does kind of increase the ammo capacity indirectly, since you'll kill things faster and therefore have to expend less ammo. So I guess it's kind of the same thing, but so I guess that's fine. And tweak the heavy swords. These are really bad. All heavy swords are pretty bad. I've heard that the Mark 9... The Mark 9 is actually pretty good, but other than those, the 6 and the 7 are pretty bad. So let's see what they do. Increased baseline damage armor mod versus flak armor and infested. Beautiful. Increased baseline impact armor mod versus flak armor maniacs and carapace armor. Beautiful. Increased horizontal light attack damage. Okay, so just a bunch of buffs. Okay, so just a bunch of buffs for the light attacks. The biggest problem that I had with the heavy swords was that the light attacks felt really bad. The light attacks, especially, I don't remember which weapon I used. I used both of these. I did not use the 9 because I could never find a 9. But I used the 7, that's 5, 6, that's 6 and 7. I used the 6 and the 7, and my main complaint was that the light attacks felt too weak, because the light attacks for those weapons are the main horde clear, whereas the heavy attacks, if I remember correctly, are the main way to do single target damage. So the fact that they basically just increased the horde clear and the general damage on all light attacks, beautiful. Thunderhammer, please change what I asked you to. Increased light attack baseline armor mod versus flak armor and carapace armor. Carapace armor was 1% on just the light attack? What? Okay, well, good thing they increased it, but why was it 1%? What the fuck? Increased heavy attack baseline armor mod versus flak armor and carapace armor. Okay, fixed a bug where Thunderhammer was missing weapon special activate from... Fixed a bug where Thunderhammer was missing weapons special activate chain from block. I don't know what that means. Fixed an issue where Lucius pattern lasguns were ignoring. Okay, so they didn't do what I asked them to when it comes with being able to have like an AOE on the special attack. So that's kind of disappointing. But otherwise, those are pretty good changes. But why 1% versus carapace armor on a light attack, which is the main, like, supposed to be the main single target damage other than the special? That makes no sense. But I don't know. Okay, combat. Fixed an issue where Zealot Preacher's ability, Chastise the Wicked, could get interrupted if used while having been pushed by enemy attacks. Good. Fixed an issue where Psychonetics' Inner Tranquility talent caused slower quell speeds. I did not actually notice that. Fixed a bug where being hit while lugging disabled coherency toughness regen for 100 seconds or until hit again. That explains a lot. I know a lot of people were complaining about coherency toughness just not regenning, and this explains it, so that's good. Proficiency in smart targeting. Fixed a bug where you can perform heavy attacks while the Blaze Force sword while holding sprint. Fixed issue where Zealot Preacher would dash through enemies if they were too close. Beautiful. Fixed an issue where some pickups could not be interacted with due to being inside collision. I have been unable to use Medicaid stations because of this, so I'm happy that's fixed. Fixed issues where the Poxhounds could launch into the stratosphere. Okay, listen. the fact that the Poxhounds, like, their pouncing still isn't fixed, but, you know, the funny bug of the dog going to space is fixed is kind of weird, but you know what, sure. Missions. You know, I think this is just, like, general mission fixes. Okay, this is basically just a bunch of, like, other fixes. That's really all that I'm gonna look at. So I would say that these patch notes are kind of a mixed bag. There's a lot of things that are pretty good in here that I'm really happy with, but there's also a couple of things like this entire shop paragraph that doesn't really make sense, and then the idea of the refine, I'm not really sure I like that, and the fact that we still can't change blessings, I don't like that as well, and a couple of other things that are kind of questionable. So all in all, I would say this is kind of a mixed bag, some positive, some negative, but I would say overall I'm actually pretty happy with these. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about these patch notes in the comments below, and we can talk about it. Thanks for watching, and I hope we'll see y'all next time. Peace, y'all.